Hey, and welcome to this Donkey Kong Country 101% submission for Awesome Games Done Quick 2018. Exactly like it sounds, this is the completion category for this game, in which we will be getting every single bonus stage in the game, completing all the normal levels, and beating the final boss. This is sort of paired up for me with my all stages submission. I think this is a really interesting run in that it doesn't get a lot of one-frame tricks, but it's a pretty solid one to run throughout the whole thing, whereas my all stages submission shows off how one-frame tricks can really make a run really strong. So I think kind of paired together they show like the full range of what this game can really be, and I hope that you're interested. But anyways, we go ahead and start off right here with pretty much what are the fundamentals of this game. It's rolling and jumping. We grab Diddy right here and lose Donkey as quickly as possible because he is quite a bit slower and actually even loses time on the world map. But right here is the first change from all stages in which we use Rambi to get this bonus. And what I'll try to do with this commentary is sort of highlight the differences between 101 and any all, just to help get a sense of why this category is really interesting and why it is my preferred category. And right there, you see one of the neat things about the bonuses in this game is you don't actually have to beat the bonuses to get credit for the percentage point. So completing the game, you don't have to win the bonuses, you just have to find them. And it turns out that in pretty much every single case, with a few very tiny exceptions, the fastest way to beat the bonuses is to actually lose them. So not only is the losing animation faster, but the actual process of not trying to win is faster too. So anyways, here's a bonus that actually we use in all stages as well because it shoots you out really quickly, and fortunately you don't miss any other bonuses along the way, so no backtracking is always pretty nice. We are submitting a race for this category, for both categories really, but this category in particular is something that hasn't been shown since 2014 and has really been optimized quite a bit. The run that I'm submitting here is actually about 10 minutes faster than the 2014 run of the game was in AGDQ, so it should go to show just how much more optimized the category has gotten. And we have some really good runners submitting as well. Myself included, 3 of the people submitting actually have times within 40 seconds of each other. So it could be a really competitive race. And as this goes on, I'll kind of highlight the areas where there are big opportunities for one player to make up a lot of time or really pull ahead depending on where they're at. But that's kind of one of the neat things about this game, is that the race is never over until it's actually over at the very end. So here we are trying to finish a couple bonuses, just roll through the enemies here. That's another thing worth mentioning, is that every enemy you roll through adds a little bit of time. Tiny little crawl space zip there. And then trying to enter this bonus as soon as I can after the barrel breaks it open. So we've already seen a few different kinds of bonuses here where you can break open walls, you can get into secret barrels. Sometimes they're invisible barrels, sometimes they're just right out in the open. Just a lot of different opportunities to get barrels and bonuses. Here is the first water stage of the game, Coral Capers, and here these stages are identical to all stages, so there are no bonuses in the water levels, so all the difficulty that comes into play in the water stages is still very much present. And if you've watched my all stages submission, this is a much better stage than I had there. I actually succeed at making pretty much all the corners in this one, so that's good. The key is to take every corner as close as possible as you can without crashing into the wall, and that's something I'll highlight a lot more in a later water stage when it becomes a little more obvious what's going on. So for this stage, the goal is just do not lose the fish. The fish is kind of my biggest nemesis in this game. His hitbox is really wonky and he's hard to control. You get hit a lot of times when you don't think you're about to with him. This stage kind of is a little bit different from all stages. Many stages with in this game kind of follow mostly the all stages route with just a couple tiny deviations to get bonuses. And this one is like that too, but some cool tricks here like this roll through those guys and entering that barrel from the right side allows you to enter that more quickly and get into this bonus really quickly. In all stages you would just blast across the top, so a little bit of extra movement tech makes this really interesting. Right here too, grabbing this barrel and pausing a sec to get that guy to jump out of the way and get into this bonus. Blasting out of that barrel as quickly as possible to end, and then trying to get a really quick jump here and roll through this guy to get to the barrel up top. This stage, of course, is the introduction to the blast barrel concept that this series is so famous for, and fortunately we're able to pretty much skip all that stuff. But that said, this has been a very solid World 1. And I mentioned earlier the contrast between my all stages submission and this submission is all stages had a lot of sloppy movement, but it was saved by frames and ended up being a really good time. And whereas this one has a lot of really solid movement, but it doesn't get the frames, the one frame tricks that would have made it a really elite run instead of just a really, really solid run. So moving on to World 2. This next stage, Winky's Walkway, is one of my favorite stages in the game. It's just really, really short, but also really, really fast. So lots of neat rolls through enemies, rolls off of ledges, and even just jumping up to grab this bonus in 101 doesn't really take a lot away from it. You can keep moving pretty smoothly throughout it. The next stage is, of course, Minecart Carnage, the introduction of the auto-scrolling minecart idea, but it also introduces our first built-in developer-intended warp in the game. And fortunately, this stage has no bonuses, so we are indeed able to take the warp with no negative consequences. Bouncy Bonanza, the first really hard stage of the game. Little bit harder in 101. Right here you have to grab this barrel, and if you're not careful you can easily lose that barrel on that B. That little jiggle to the left that I did was critical to not lose the barrel. If you do lose the barrel you basically have to die and start the stage over. So a lot of opportunities for mistakes in this category, which in a race context can really make for a lot of exciting changes of pace. If one person makes a mistake, it's pretty easy for others to catch up there. So these, we call them B skips, the crawl space movement, and then getting under those B's is pretty precise and can really easily mess you up if you're not careful. Here's also the introduction of tire rolls, something that comes into play a lot more later in the game, and then rolling that tire under that B is actually pretty tricky to do too. You have to face left right at the end of the tire's roll and cause it to shoot to the right under the B using like your momentum. It's a weird thing, but if you don't do that, you have to wait for the B to move around and push the tire back and forth. So this stage is probably one of the ones that starts to really highlight how cool 101 can be as a category. This is right here, what you're seeing is pretty much all the all stages run does. You just take the warp and roll through those guys and you're done. But now we have to go back in and get bonuses. So we take the warp twice and do some pretty cool rolls going backwards through the level to pick up the stages 2 bonuses. So again, those crocs don't hurt you if you're rolling through them. Little roll off the tire, bounce off into this bonus, and yeah, it's pretty neat. So like most Super Nintendo and other games from this era, if you beat a level and go back in and press start and then select to pause, you can actually leave the level and see that the exclamation point there marks it complete. So that backtracking component is a pretty neat thing that shows up in a couple of these levels. So here we're setting up something called a super jump, which is really important. So watch here as Donkey takes a hit, goes up off the top of the screen. The game is storing a flag internally that makes it think he is flying up as high as he can. So when we use Donkey, land on an enemy, I'm still holding B, the game still thinks I'm flying up off the top of the screen with Donkey, and I'm able to use that to bounce into a hidden warp barrel. That warp barrel, of course, is normally reachable only by grabbing a tire and going and rolling it across a gap, and it's pretty difficult and time-consuming. So now we do it again where we come back in and go get the bonuses. There's 3 bonuses here. We do keep Donkey Kong for a little while here because he's useful for a damage boost to try to get into this next bonus. The game wants you to use that same tire that you would otherwise use for the warp barrel but here we just do this. So there's a neat trick coming up here called a bonus skip, where if I pause on the very frame I open the bonus, the game gives me credit for going in the bonus even though I don't enter it. So which is really important here because the bonus we're about to open up takes 10 seconds. So I did in fact get it. I heard the bonus open and I was able to save 10 seconds by getting that one frame trick. Now here's probably the biggest thing about the route change in 101 since 2014. Is we found out that you actually do not get percentage points for bosses in this game. So to get 101%, you do not need to beat every boss. So we're able to take Funky's Flights, go back to World 1, and execute the map warp trick, which is a one-frame trick at the corner of maps that sends you to another point in the game. And we do that to skip the World 2 boss, go to the middle of this stage, which is in the middle of World 3, and then do the bonuses completely out of order. And basically do not only the entire stage out of order, but this entire world out of order. You'll see especially once we get back to the map exactly where we are in World 3, and it's a pretty crazy crazy thing that this is even possible. The map warp is a pretty well-known trick in this game. It's showed off pretty commonly in the any percent category is probably where it's most noteworthy, in that it helps you beat this whole game in less than 10 minutes if you're trying to just go as quickly as possible. But we of course do want to grab every single bonus. So this stage is probably one of the best ones in the whole game, and I think that 101 really shows it off. There's not another category that shows it off this well, at least not another major one. In all stages you basically just take the same map warp but go right to the end of the world and don't really get to see much of the level. But here you see pretty much the whole thing and get the 5 bonuses, which is what it's known for. So second try map warp for me, I mentioned it is a one-frame trick, so I lost 1 second there over a perfect map warp. I just use my fingers to mash the base buttons as hard as I can to get that. But here we are in Clam City. As before, no real differences here from all stages. So just doing my best not to lose the fish. The most dangerous section is this one right here. Probably could have taken one more charge there, and I bonked the wall a little bit, which cost me a tiny bit of time, which you'll see when the level ends. This is another place where it's easy to lose the fish. Another little bonk, but overall, if I get to this point in the stage without losing the fish, I'm happy. That's kind of all I really care for. There's a few little ways to take it faster, and those are things that I definitely have plans on improving and would before the marathon. Get a little more consistent at that level. So Bumblebee Rumble, probably the most difficult boss to do quickly in the game. Jumping up there and trying to use the back throw, the backwards motion of Diddy's throw, to hit him while he's up top, and then timing all of these hits is one of the most difficult things you do in a boss. This is really the only boss that has any chance at killing you, as long as you're paying attention. So the thing that 101 does a little bit differently is normally this final hit coming up here is something we would just do with Diddy normally. But in 101 we want to get Donkey in front because he's needed at the start of the next level. So taking that hit there with Diddy actually doesn't lose any time. Normally taking a hit costs you time, but in this case the bee keeps moving and his cycle, or her cycle, for going back to having a hitbox continues. So grab Diddy right there, and it's much faster to take that hit and grab the DK barrel here than it would be to switch to Donkey right there and get that warp barrel. The warp barrel, of course, only appears for Donkey in this stage. And then it's kind of some neat little backwards movement here to go get this bonus, which then drops us off at the same place the warp just did. And then you go the other way. So it's kind of neat seeing the backwards movement and then going both directions from that same bonus exit. But of course there are indeed more bonuses in this stage, so we do come back. And this time we're moving through with Diddy, and you can see just how much faster he is. Now a quick little jump off the tire. This is a thing you can barely make. That jump off that tire is really precise, or really tight. I guess precise might be too strong a word, but if you're not careful you can jump and fall into that pit because the game wants you to push the tire before you jump. So I bailed out there a little bit. I didn't get a great jump off the roll, so I slowed down, but then used my momentum from jumping off that Neki to bust into this bonus and finish it up. Now the next stage might be the one of the biggest differences between NEAL and 101. Right now, that warp there, this is pretty much all there is to all stages, level over. But in 101, we do a neat trick here right at the start called an extended roll to get a boost off that naughty, make the jump into this bonus, and then we exit again. And we go into the stage a third time, making this the only level in the game where you enter 3 times. And these neat extended rolls here allow you to skip quite a bit of the barrel sections. Extended rolls are a pretty technical trick where you're able to cause the boost that you get, a boost of speed from beating an enemy or killing an enemy to come into effect later, which lets you make bigger gaps than you otherwise would. This stage probably is one of the ones that shows it off most prominently in 101. It'll come up again actually in 4-1. So I mentioned that super jump earlier. There is indeed a super jump roll in this stage, which is something you can see if you look at my all stages submission, which goes to show again the difference between getting a lot of one-frame tricks versus not getting one-frame tricks. So what I'm going to do here is set up that same super jump, but here I'm not going to go straight into a warp barrel. I'm actually holding B right now and using that momentum that Diddy got from launching up after being hit, let go of B right there, and now Diddy is falling. So he basically went up really high into the air, and now he's falling this entire time. And what I did was time when I let go of B and initiated the falling motion, or removing the flag that the game had that thought Diddy was going up, I timed it in such a way that as long as I'm holding Y and right here, I'm going to land right in this bonus. So it's really cool to watch that stage go by in all stages, because just seeing Diddy fly over everything is really cool. But I think it's even neater in 101 to see you land in a tiny spot on the screen that you have to land right there to hit the bonus, otherwise you're dead. So it's a pretty cool thing. Now you have to be pretty careful coming out of that bonus as well, because you have one try to bounce off this guy at the height of his jump, hit a warp or a blast barrel up there to get enough power to launch into that Kremling and break through the wall. If you don't get enough height, you won't hit that blast barrel, and you will die. Now this stage is also very different than all stages. Whereas in all stages you would roll through this and do a lot of really cool extended rolls with just Diddy. It's probably one of the best stages in the game in all stages. Here we jump into this bonus and grab Espresso. Now Espresso we saw a little bit earlier in Orangutan game, but this is one of the stages where you really see just how fast she is. Espresso is actually even quite a bit faster than Diddy rolling around, so any chance you have to use Espresso is one you should take, as long as it doesn't cost you any time to grab her. So you can really tell that they designed this level to be done with Espresso, just holding right and running. Like right here, being able to run under all these guys as they're going up, and these gaps that she can just make perfectly. So it's almost like they designed it with speedrunning in mind a little bit. And I guess since at the end of the game, Cranky challenges you to do the whole thing in under an hour on one life, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure this is a no-death run. This game, of course, any tiny mistake can kill you, which of course makes for exciting races as well, because mistakes are costly, and you might think you've got a pretty sizable lead. Somebody could have a lead of a minute, and then one mistake, they're last. That easy. So Snow Barrel Blast, one of the most notorious stages in this game. This is probably where a lot of people stop playing the game, because it gets pretty darn hard. So moving through it, it's got a lot of fun movement here right at the start. This barrel boost is pretty important. Jumping off of a slope with that barrel, or any barrel, gives you a boost of momentum, which lets you clear that barrel section pretty quickly. And now, quick hop back to the left to grab a bonus. Shoot off the bottom of the screen. And now we're going to do an extended roll. So a sequence of taps that's pretty technical, and when you press it, Y, 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 Y. And then you got to get full rolls there. If you don't get full enough rolls, you're not going to make the jump all the way to that platform. So that trick's really important in all stages, but in 101 it's life and death. So taking tricks that are pretty easy in all stages and then making them more difficult is something that happens a few times in this run. Now, of course, there is no exclamation point up there, so we did miss a bonus, so got to go back and grab it. This bonus does have a bonus skip as well. I didn't get it in here, but it's another 1 frame opportunity to save 10 seconds. This, of course, the famous Nintendo Power bonus, because Nintendo Power sent out that VHS tape where they showed you where a couple secrets were, and this is one of the secrets that they showed when the game came out. If you remember that, you're as old as I am, I guess. So Slipside Ride is actually a very different level than in all stages. In all stages, you would just take this rope up. You wouldn't go into this bonus, but you would use that rope to try to get up off the top of the screen and get into a warp barrel and go right to the end of the level. So we're going to do that here with Diddy. I'm going to be holding down, jump off the top of the screen, and roll on a hidden platform up there over to the bonus. But now, instead of jumping up that rope and just exiting the level, I've got to backtrack a little bit to get this bonus, which was pretty much impossible to get into as a kid, but now it's pretty easy. So I just think the routing and the way some of these stages work together is pretty cool. And then moving through the end here, this is the same as in all stages. Just hopping off those ropes as quickly as possible, climbing up this rope as quickly as possible. And I think I actually almost got hit there. No, I didn't. It wasn't as close as I remembered it being. But again, more bonuses, so we get to go back and see even more of the level that we didn't see the first time. Try to get a little camera manip there to roll through those guys, bounce reverse damage boost, or not damage, reverse boost off that army, and then grab this barrel and in. And we're through. So this next stage, really, really important to not lose Espresso. This might be one of the stages that's more difficult in 101 as opposed to all stages. Getting into this bonus is important, and then making this roll is a little bit scary every single time. And then now it's absolutely critical that we don't lose Espresso. Like in all stages, if you lose Espresso and somehow survive, it's still probably run over just because you've lost a lot of time and you're going to move more slowly, but you're probably not going to die everywhere. But in this case, if we lose Espresso, we have to die on purpose and start the whole stage over because he's needed to get, or she's needed to get to this bonus. But other than that, once you get through there, you're pretty much in the clear. It's always a good feeling of relief to get to that bonus. Nice stage. Gold is always good. So yeah, Croctopus. This is the stage I mentioned earlier where it really shows off just how critical taking all these corners optimally can be. Basically what I try to do with this stage is I have visual cues for almost every single corner, so I know exactly when I'm supposed to start moving the other direction. Like right here, I'm going to start to go left there, right before that little extra blue thing that juts out of the wall. And what I'm trying to do is have optimal horizontal or vertical momentum as I go around a corner. Like there I start at the bottom, like when I'm a little bit to the right to the side of the corner, I start going up so that by the time I get to a place where I can actually go past the corner, I've got optimal speed. So if you're just a viewer, watching this stage is usually kind of boring. We call it intermission. You know, there's not really anything exciting going on. There's really low chance of dying. But as a runner, you're still paying really, really close attention to every little movement. Every single one of these corners has an opportunity to lose seconds over the course of the level. If you were to bonk on all of them, it would be pretty bad. So right here, I got a visual cue to try to get up there, get around this, which I did. Right now, up here, now I'll turn right. So yeah, just knowing those cues is pretty important. But otherwise, as far as the marathon goes, this is a really, really great time for donations if you have all the runners in this stage at the same time. And it's such a long stage that even if somebody's managed to build up a little bit of a lead, usually everybody ends up in this stage at the same time. So it's a good opportunity for donations. tiny bump there, right there. That was the worst corner I took in this whole stage, I think. Everything else was really smooth. That one I was a little bit wide, but didn't lose too much. The hitboxes on these walls is really weird too, because you can kind of go into the coral a little bit before you actually reach the wall itself. So learning kind of the feel for where the actual wall is a pretty important part of this. Anyways, Croctopus Chase, we're through. And on to Torchlight Trouble. I think this is the first stage where I really had any movement problems in this, so almost dying right there is pretty bad. Fortunately, I was able to recover and keep moving. Now, the oil drums don't actually hurt you unless you land towards the middle of them. So what we try to do is land right on the edge and get a roll off of them. Of course, if you land too far to the side, you'll miss the barrel entirely and usually plummet to your doom. If you're too far to the other side, you'll end up getting hit by the fire. And then being Donkey in this level is extremely slow. So you can see right here too that Squawks with the light, he really adds a lot of lag. So that's why we don't grab him in all stages. But the bonus forces you to take him in this one, which actually makes sort of some of the movement at the end of this level kind of challenging. So a little bit of slop there, and then I think this stage I also have a little bit of slop too. So this is one of my favorite stages in the game, and another one that's quite different from All Stages now, because All Stages has a super jump roll now that you can use to skip over a good chunk of the level, but in here you still have to do the whole level to get the bonuses. So right there I almost died, so I got a little thrown off and I couldn't do all the tire rolls that I expected to do, but somehow made it through without getting hit, and now I'm back on my movement. So here's a neat little extended roll across there. Do a little camera manip, jump to a tire that's off screen, moving towards you, and hope you land on it and barely make it across with tire rolls, which are pretty precise. And here another leap of faith to a bonus off the screen from a tire that you're probably not supposed to be able to make that jump with. So this stage is scary, but really a lot of fun to do fast. But yeah, I had a death there in my run before this, so nice time save. Now, trying to get up to the top there to get a little bit quicker second hit on him, but not quite making it. Now, I switched to Donkey here because if I sacrifice Donkey right now, he actually skips his 4th jump cycle. We don't do this anymore in all stages because we need to have 2 Kongs to set up a super jump roll in the next level, but we can't do the super jump roll in 101, which because you need to actually go get the bonuses. So it's kind of neat, yeah, how this category, surprisingly enough, adds jump rolls in some places, but takes away some of the other ones. So it's just kind of a different feel going through the game. I choose to grab Donkey here just for that tiny bit of safety because these oil drums can be a little scary, and with a 40-second lead, I didn't want to risk it. That's probably something I would do for a little bit of safety in a marathon setting too. So this, of course, is the infamous bonus in bonus. So one of the very few bonuses we don't fail because we need to get the single banana to get this barrel to break open the wall to the bonus on the side, then fail that one as quickly as possible. So again, if you somehow mess up that bonus or you're not paying attention and don't end up getting the single bananas, you can lose a lot of time there by failing to enter the second bonus. And again, in a race, that if somebody were to do that, that would be pretty bad for them. But an opportunity for everybody else. Little extended roll off here to grab that barrel, get into this bonus. And then the end of this stage is one of the most nerve-wracking things in the entire game. So I took it a little bit safely here, choosing to forego jumping onto the flame there. But then right here at the end, nothing safe about any of this. Especially that last can that you try to roll off of is just very, very nerve-wracking. Now, right here, this stage is one of the biggest differences between 101 and all stages. There's a bonus here, which is important to remember, because if you're playing all stages, usually you just exit the level right here and finish it up. So I've definitely had a run where I forgot to get that bonus, and then at the very end of the game was like, oh no, what happened? But there are 2 more bonuses in there, and there are 2 opportunities for jump rolls. Jump rolls, of course, are a 1-frame trick where if you press Y at the right moment, your Kong goes flying. There's 2 opportunities to actually get a jump roll with Donkey Kong in this level, which is crazy. There is no other place in the game where you see Donkey Kong doing a jump roll. So he's doing it right now, which is awesome because that's a pretty important jump roll. It saves like 40 seconds. And there actually are 4 total opportunities for jump rolls in this level. So even if you miss those first 2, there's another one you can do with Diddy. And right here after this bonus, I'm going to go for the 4th jump roll, which is a 101. They're all 101 exclusive, but that bounce I got right there means that I had this set up perfect. I was just a little bit late on the pressing Y. You basically have to try to press Y on the exact same frame that you're bouncing off of an enemy while still on the ground. So you're able to roll and bounce at the same time, and then the game doesn't know what to do. So that's what we're doing, is always trying to set that up to cause the game to launch us forward. But I did it there, so I kept my 40-second lead. Just in time for elevator antics, which is of course one of the hardest levels in the game, and 101 doesn't make it any easier. Easy place to die right there. Then the elevators at the end are pretty crazy. So as far as this run goes, that jump roll is the only one that I managed to get. So like I said earlier, that if you look at my 2 videos, they both show off kind of 2 very different ways that runs of this game can go. I had a lot of sloppy movement in my all stages PB and submission, but I ended up not, or ended up having a really good run, like really good time, because I hit the jump rolls. Whereas in this run, I hit only that single jump roll, and I missed like 4 other opportunities, which again it's not that I played badly, it's just it's 1 frame. It's impossible to do consistently. So it ends up still being a really good run though, because I have solid movement everywhere else, except for right here. little mistake there. Also, you saw some camera manipulation there a moment ago to try to get those platforms into positions where I could jump on them quickly and save some time. This stage, of course, has another bonus right at the beginning that we can go grab Start Select, making it faster. Of course, doing Start Select there saves the animation of failing the bonus, so but if we had gotten that at the beginning of the level, we wouldn't have been able to, we would have had to watch that animation. So Poison Pond here, this is my only bad water stage in this run. There's a pretty important trick at the end that saves quite a bit of time called the triple mincer clip, something I did get in my all stages PB, but don't get in this run. But so far, pretty good movement through the level. It's just where you need to use On Guard to clip through enemies at times. Like if you charge the right way at the right time, you just clip through. But right about here, I'm going to slightly mistime my second charge and get hit. Then I think I get hit a couple times here. It actually is worth it to save On Guard here. I think I only ended up losing like 8 seconds because of this. Maybe more like 10 when you consider the time I could have saved. But having him go through this end part, as you can see, is so much faster than it would have been with a Kong. So yeah, a little bit lost there. I lost maybe 1 second from not having On Guard at the very end. So 9 seconds, I guess. So 12 total seconds I think I lost in that stage, which is probably my biggest single level mistake that isn't a missed jump roll in this run. So Minecart Carnage is also a very different level in 101. At this point, in all stages, you would be doing something called the roll through the air glitch, which is exactly like it sounds. And we're about to show off a different way to set up the roll through the air glitch in this stage. So this is pretty important in 101. It doesn't save a ton of time to get this, but it does help you get into another bonus at the end a little more quickly. You can use this to do a jump roll off really any of those neckies, but they would all have a risk of killing you and none of them would save time. But it's kind of cool just to roll over into that bonus. So again, this is kind of a nice thing about the hundo category for this game is, whereas the 100% categories of Donkey Kong Country 1 and Donkey Kong Country 3 Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country 3 require you to actually complete the bonuses and get the coins that they reward you with. Beating the bonuses really quickly in this one lets you kind of see all the movement that's interesting to get over to the bonuses without having to actually take a ton of time to actually invest in seeing them. But we still have the roll through the air glitch there, so I do it really quickly to jump up into this bonus here. Alright, and on to Blackout Basement. Certainly one of the most infamous stages in this game. But in a speedrun, we have it so well memorized that the lights being off really doesn't matter. We know where the platforms are, we know where to jump, so just having the lights turn on a little bit is really all you need. I need extended roll here to do a bunch of stuff. I choose to grab the mid barrel here just because I have such a nice lead that if this area coming up can oftentimes kill you, so I just wanted to still be green even if I died. But I did not time it right, so it's actually really good that I grabbed that mid barrel because my movement got off and I almost didn't make either of those gaps. So a little bit of backup strat. I was a little bit nervous at this point because I knew I had this good lead and I knew this stage is a really likely place to choke it away. Now this is a really cool thing about 101. So we're actually throwing this can, following it through the dark, and then we have to roll off this Kremling in the dark to catch up to the can and go into this bonus. If you don't roll off that Kremling at the right time, not only you could either get hit or you could cause the barrel to despawn. And if that barrel despawns, it's basically run over. Like if you miss the mid barrel especially, you would have to go back to the beginning in order to come back and get this bonus, which not only loses a bunch of time but means you have to do this level again, and it's a pretty hard stage. So sacrificing a second and a half to grab the mid barrel is something I think that's definitely worth it in a race type of setting or really hot, big lead type of setting. Probably won't be getting the mid barrel there in further PB attempts though. Gotta save those seconds now. No more excuses. Anyways, this boss is easy. Boss Dumb Drum. He's pretty dumb. We need Donkey in front to be able to kill these guys. Diddy can't bounce off them. You'd have to wait to roll through them. Even worse with the armies that he's about to spew. Diddy would have to wait for them to unroll in order to do anything. So, not bad. 5 seconds lost in World 5 means we're going into World 6 with a lead, with a chance at a good PB. And at this point, honestly, that's really all you can hope for. If you get to World 6 with a chance, it's kind of what you want. This stage is probably one of the most important in the entire game. 101 adds that earlier stage, Trick Track Trek, as a pretty important level because it adds jump rolls that save 40 seconds as well. But the biggest jump rolls in the game are right here. There's one that's really difficult, which I wouldn't recommend unless you're trying to go for a world record or something like that. And then there's another one afterwards that's pretty easy to set up, but you still have to hit that one frame, which in the splits that I'm racing against, I do indeed hit that frame. So if I'm going to lose a lot of time if I don't hit the jump roll here. Setup looks good, perfect, but I was a little bit late on pressing the button, so I'm going to lose 42 seconds right now because of that, which is pretty sad. And right there, this one level shows just how much, I guess, those jump rolls can save. So in a race situation, even if somebody is like ahead by a minute or more right now, and they don't hit the jump roll, but the people behind them do, anybody's game at that point. And World 6 is like that a lot. There are actually 3 different jump rolls, levels with jump rolls in World 6. So, and the other ones save like 15 and 20 seconds respectively. So it's pretty important to hit those jump rolls. But I didn't here, so we're just cruising through the level. Nothing too exciting to see. Of course, this level was impossible as a kid. Jumping over those bees to get this, it's so nerve-wracking too. Like, there's literally no risk of the fuel tank running out if you know what you're doing, but if you don't, it's just so much pressure hearing those lights slowly tick away. So there is one more opportunity to get a one-frame trick to save time in that level, which is kind of cool that there's so many one-frame tricks in this game. Just so much opportunity for the lead to change. But right here, if I were to pause and hear that barrel shoot me out and press select, it would be just like that bonus skip I got earlier in World 2, where I could leave before having to come into this bonus and it would save 10 seconds. But that one's pretty difficult. And that's why we do that bonus at the end, is to give ourselves the chance at the bonus skip. So now Mincers is a pretty fun level. It's a frustrating level too, because Ramby is really hard to control, but once you get the rhythm down, it actually is quite fun. Despite Ramby's rhinoceros-ness. So anyway, using him to break a bonus open here, not that different from all stages. It's actually a very, very similar level. So all stages, using Ramby for pretty much the exact same stuff. Using him to try to launch over here. Yoshi treatment, adios. Moving as quickly as we can. And now timing or positioning yourself just right so you can bounce off that naughty and grab the DK barrel to get up there. The game wants you to go into that cave, which some people might think is a bonus, but it actually isn't. It doesn't give you a percentage point. It's just like a secret passageway to get up top. But using the naughty is faster, so you got to make sure you time that jump well. Otherwise, you'll have to go through the cave, and that's not good. So our next jump roll opportunity is indeed coming up here, Misty Mine. This is probably the easiest super jump roll, and the most likely place you'll see a super jump roll in 101. If you want to see that, check out my all stages submission on this level. I do get the jump roll there, but of course, if you want to see what the level looks like without a jump roll, this is a good opportunity for that. This level is pretty difficult. Like, getting over these dumb drums that shoot out enemies is really hard. Like, you want to try to jump right at the edge of them so you don't bonk into the barrel. But if you're too early, you could easily hit the enemy. If you're too late, you're gonna bonk. So it's not good. And then here we go into this bonus. So this bonus is where you would end the super jump roll and land. And now moving through the rest of the level. This part is really scary. If you lose this TNT barrel, you're done. Especially if you get the jump roll, because if you hit the jump roll, you don't get the mid barrel. So that's pretty scary. But I did it. Not too hard at this point. So since I didn't get the jump roll, I lost the 8 seconds there because I did get the jump roll. That jump roll actually saves 15 seconds, but I had a little bit of sloppy movement afterwards in my PB, so that's why we only lost 8. I actually didn't need to jump on that guy. I could have rolled through him, but grabbing the first bonus in Loopy. Loopy, of course, is another level that you do pretty much all in the dark, but just memorize where to jump and what to do. It's actually a pretty fun level. One of my favorites. Not a super dangerous level. There's a couple points where you can die, but as long as you're moving consistently, you should be okay. Consistent movement is the most important thing with this game. In all stages, we would not grab this barrel, obviously. That right there, actually, the guy right above this bonus is possibly the hardest part, the most likely part to die in 101. Or in all stages, sorry. And then these rolls, tire rolls in the dark, blind tire rolls in the dark, are just as scary in 101 as they are in all stages. That's the most likely part to kill you, other than the dude I just mentioned. So here I go for a roll through this guy, and I don't get it, and I almost died there in that pit, so I was kind of freaking out at the moment, but save the 5 seconds we need to, going into platform perils. Our last stage with the jump roll opportunity. And again, I did get the jump roll in my all stages submission, so go check that out. It's pretty much exactly the same as 101 as far as the jump roll is concerned. But I do not get it here, which is scary for a couple reasons. Not only do you lose the time of not getting the jump roll, it's about 20 seconds saved, but so right there, since I bounced, you know, I had the setup correct, I just missed the frame. Pretty typical. But moving through all this stuff is very scary and has a really good chance to kill you. So I know I've got a death in this stage in my PB, so I take this part a little bit safely right now because I really wanted to get that PB. So that was a little bit sloppy. I need to clean that section up a little bit, but at this point I wanted to lock in the PB, so just trying to focus on consistent movement, maybe taking a little bit extra time to make sure I've got all these throws set up correctly. But it's a cool part to watch for sure. It's much more interesting than watching the jump roll and then going right into this bonus. So anyways, yeah, I think I hope that I've, over the course of this, been able to show why 101 has a lot of different interesting movement overall stages. There's still a lot of the same stuff, but you also get the benefit of seeing some parts of levels that you wouldn't otherwise see, and seeing some different movement tech as well, in order to, like, the whole idea of bonus skips is a new thing, and just having so many more one-frame tricks in this really could make for a potentially much tighter race. So many more opportunities for lead changes is pretty exciting. And I think when you contrast this run with both my all stages submission, which gets a lot of jump rolls, and see the difference that those can make there, and I'm pretty sure that some of the other runners who are submitting have runs that get a lot of jump rolls as well, are pretty cool. Like for example, if I were to have gotten that jump roll in what's it called? Tanked Up Trouble, the bird tut jump roll, I would have saved 42 seconds, which means that I would have gone from 6th place to 3rd place. So one frame in the exact same run, just being 1/60th of a second difference, is what we're talking as far as leaderboard position, and then similarly race position. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity. And of course the final boss is not that much to get excited about in this game. He's just, yeah, jump on his head. The only tech is to try to, like right there, that was a really good hit. You didn't see much of his crown, if anything. We try to land on him before he throws the crown. It's called crownless, so you have a very, very tiny window. That was a good hit too, to see. Yeah, you have a very tiny window to do that, but it is more optimal, so try to do it. And if you contrast this with my all stages PB fight, you can see I'm quite a bit better at the fight now. It's like even just a couple weeks later of playing this game, I improved a good amount, so I have no reason to think I wouldn't continue to improve before the marathon. Hardest part of the fight is this part with the cannonballs. Really, it's not hard, but you just gotta pay attention. And of course, the music is fantastic. Return of the fake credits. Pretty good. Claptrap did a great job with the coding. And just time to finish it out. Lock things in. Now, in the unlikely event somebody were to die on the final boss, that could lead to a pretty big lead change as well. But the final boss is about 2.5 minutes long, so it's very likely that with a race at this level you would have all 4 players in the final boss at the same time, which is always exciting from a viewer perspective. So yeah, 48-28, small PB, but I'm excited to run against this one because I only got 1 jump roll, so now I have a ton of frames where I could save time. As long as I just move consistently, which is something I can definitely do. Hit those frames, it's only a matter of time before we get into the 47s and lower. And I'm pretty sure that's where we'd all be by the time the marathon comes around. And so when Cranky says, "What a player you are, Donkey my lad," that is how you know you got every bonus in the game, found absolutely everything. 1 life, less than an hour, quite a bit less than an hour. Cranky's challenge is met, and yeah, that is the game. So thank you for your consideration for the 101% race at AGDQ. I hope that you are interested in having us come play for you guys. It should be a lot of fun. I think people would enjoy it. Showing off a category that hasn't been seen in a very long time and is similar but different enough from what's been shown in this game since then to add a lot of interest to it. So anyways, thank you very much. We got a lot of top players coming and to the event, and hopefully we get the chance to do this. So thanks again. Hope to see you guys in January.